Welcome. My name is Veronica. I'm marketing manager at Marosa. And today in this session, we're going to cover annual VAT return in Portugal, and we're going to focus on non-established taxpayers. But just before we start, I would like to remind you about some housekeeping rules. So today's session is going to be recorded. And after the webinar, we're going to share the video and the slides with you. We're going to have a dedicated Q&A session, so please put any of your questions you have in chat or a Q&A function that should be on top of your screens. So as I mentioned, today I have two colleagues from compliance team. Today with me are Anna and Rafaela. So I'm going to hand over to Anna to start with the agenda.
Thanks so much, Veronica. So let's start with the agenda of what we're going to see today. So today, the session, the purpose is to have a very practical approach on the Portuguese annual VAT return and how you should file it. We will go through the main sections of the annual VAT return, how to submit the annual VAT return, and the penalties that could apply if you're filing late or if you didn't file at all the annual VAT return. So again, as I told you, the purpose is to be very practical because I know that most of the companies that follow the calendar year will need to submit next month the annual VAT return. So you would first log in to the tax authority's website. And then as you can see in the slide, you will do in the search tab and type yes. And then it will automatically go and to open the option in preencher a declaração, which means to fulfill the declaration. Then this alert will pop up and you will click on Obter Aplicação. Here you will be able to download the report that you need to fulfill the annual VAT return. As you can see, there are many options. You will need to select the one that works for you and your computer. For example, for me, I downloaded the second option and this worked perfectly, but I know that some of my colleagues use the first one, so please use the one that's best for your computer settings. And then you need to select the annex for non-established companies, which will mean that you'll go here where it says Novo Annex, you'll select Annex O, Annex B, and Annex L, and in the presentation, we'll go through them. But first, you will need to complete the selection that states rosto, which basically means that you will need to complete the company's identification profile. So the first field, which will be quadro 1, will be that you will need to include the date of the annual. In principle, as most of the companies follow the calendar year, it will be the date of since 1st of January to the 31st of December. But of course, you need to take into account if you register the company in the middle of the year or if you deregister the company and you're just finally now submitting the annual. So take into consideration that, or even if you follow another, not follow the calendar year, but have another yearly report. And then you will go to field 2, and this will mean that you need to include the codes that the tax authorities have given to your company. You may have this code already, even if you had last year's annual return or even on the registration, because the tax authorities will give you a code depending on the activity. But if you don't have it with you, it's easy to get. You can go again to the search tab, type Situação Fiscal Integrada, then it will appear an option here of Dados Gerais de Identificação, which means that the general identification of your company. You will find here general information, and you'll scroll down and you'll see under Serviço de Finanças Competente, the code. In our case is 3085. So it's really easy to get if you don't have it immediately. Field 3, it's the name and the VAT number of the client that you'll need to include. Field 4, the activity code of a company. This is not mandatory, but again, you can easily get this information from the tax authority's website. You just go under Situação Fiscal Integrada, again, as we did previously, go into Atividade Exercida, and then go into Códigos de Atividade. You will see here the code. So really easy to get. And then you will go to field 6. And this, you will need to select either option 5 or option 2. Option 5 will be if you're just declaring the first return for this entity, and option 2, it'll mean it'll be the last declaration being filled for this entity. And then you'll go to field 7. Here you need to select if this is the first declaration of the year, and most of the cases will be, or if it's a corrective that you're filling in for another year, and then you select option 2. Fields 8, 9, and 10 are not in the scope of non-established, so you don't need to worry about those. And then field 11 is regarding ultimate beneficial owner. And this basically will ask you if the information that you previously informed the tax authorities is still current. If so, select yes. If not, and you're still within the deadline to fill in the annual VAT return, I would suggest to submit the information on the ultimate beneficial owner that you currently have, and then come back and submit the annual. Okay, so going to the annex, Annex O and Annex B are very similar. You'll see that Annex O is regarding sales and Annex B is regarding domestic purchase, but the way you fill in is very simple and you'll see very similar to one another. Basically, you'll just need to give the information of the entities in which you have suppliers or customers that have amounts higher than 25K during the year, in this case for 2023. So for example, if you have domestic sales higher than 25K from a particular client, you'll just need to include in this tab the VAT number, and Portuguese case will be NIF of the client, and then here the total amount. And the same you'll see in the next slide will be for purchases. So it's really, really simple to complete if you compare with other countries. Of course, when it's nil activity, you will not need to include them. I just included here a note to be careful not to include the cent. So you have here an example to include whole amounts. And a practical question that appears a lot. So if we have a credit note, for example, that regards an original invoice from 2022, but the credit note is 2023, please consider it here in the annex if it's related to this year. And here in Annex B, exactly the same, but just regarding domestic purchase. In this column, you will include the VAT number of your supplier that's higher than 25K. And then here on this column, you will include the actual amount. So I'll now pass the word to Rafaela to go on with the next annex.
Okay, thank you, Anna. So I will focus now on Annex L. In this annex should be detailed the client's transactions that were performed during the year. To open the annex, you need to click on the first option, Novo Anexo, and select Annex L, as you can see in the figure. In this first tab, Quadro 03, you must report the internal active operations carried out in national territory, including sales from both the Açores and Madeira. For those who are not familiar, these are two islands in Portugal. So here you should indicate the total net amount of local sales of goods and services, and you must keep in mind that there are three columns, one for stocks, another one for other goods and services, and the last one for fixed assets. In these fields, you must indicate it according to the applicable rates and in the respective column, the value that serve as the basis for the tax assessment. For example, in box IL01, you indicate the local sales of stocks at the reduced rates. Let me also mention fields L04 and L10, where you must indicate the amounts that would be used as a basis for tax assessment if the transactions were not exempt or not subject to tax. You can go to the next slide. We have this table here for your future referencing and guidance, where you have indicated a description of what should go to each of the fields. In tab Quadro 04, the figures for passive internal transaction should be indicated. However, intra-community acquisitions and imports are not indicated in this table, so you should only indicate the amounts of local purchases. The first 6 fields on the top should indicate the taxable base relating to acquisitions of goods and services, and excluding intra-community acquisitions and imports, for which the tax may be fully or partially deductible. There are more fields that are very specific. Let me give you 2 examples. In field 25, we must report purchase of diesel, GPS, natural gas, for which a 50% deduction is recognized. And in field 26, we should enter the value of petrol purchases, whose tax is totally excluded for the rights of deduction. Now you can go to the next slide. Yes, thank you. In tab Quadro 05, we should include all active and passive transactions carried out with foreign countries, European Union, or third countries and territories. We have 2 different columns, one for fixed assets and the second one for stocks and other goods. As an example, in fields 37 and 41, the value of inter-community deliveries of goods must be entered, distributed in field 37 in the case of fixed assets, and in field 41 in the case of stocks and other goods. Next slide, please. Okay, here we also have indicated a description of what should go to each of the fields for your future reference. As far as it's concerned to tab Quadro 06, the amounts related to deductible tax should be entered in this section, broken down by VAT rates and allocated to inventories, fixed assets, and other goods and services. For example, in field L47, you must indicate the VAT amount at a standard rate that may be deducted and which is related to stocks. Here you have also indicated a description of what should go to each of the fields for your future guidance. And in tab Quadro 07, should indicate if there have been any advance or prepayments received. If your answer is yes, fields L57, 58, and 59 must be filled with the value of prepayment received and according to the instruction indicated for each of the boxes. The tab Quadro 08 is for operations located in Portugal, when the supplier does not have a headquarters or fiscal representation here. And we must enter here the VAT paid by the customer, who self-assess the VAT. This is the case for intra-community transactions of goods. Lastly, tab Quadro 09 is very specific and is for transactions listed in specific articles of the VAT code. For example, in box 61, we must indicate permanent transfer of establishments, and in box 63, which is for passive operations, we indicate permanent acquisitions or takeover of establishments. Once these fields are complete, we need to select the option Validar and confirm if there are errors in the preparation of the annual declaration. If there are no errors, the message below will appear that says declaração não apresenta erros. In case there are errors, the system will indicate the errors and they will need to be corrected. You can save the declaration in XML file. For that, you need to click on the floppy disk button, write the name of the document, and then click on Gravar to save it. You can also save the document in the PDF format, and for that, you just need to click on Imprimir. To submit a declaration, you click on the button Submeter. And then a dialog box will appear to confirm your intention to submit the declaration. Click on the sim, which means yes, to confirm. If you choose no, the declaration will not be submitted.
Yeah, and we just added this last slide because we will have penalties apply if the report is not submitted on time and is not submitted at all. So of course, we want to avoid this, and Marosa can help you with that. If you need any help from us, we can definitely help. We have experienced people, and we already prepare in advance to make sure that we take into account any errors that may occur and any dialogue that we will need to have with our clients. I mean, I think this presentation is very practical, and it showcases, as Rafaela said, all the declarations that the transactions that need to include in each box. And we hope that it will be of great help for you. Thank you.
That's great. We do have a question. So the question is, are companies who don't have a permanent establishment in Portugal, but have a Portuguese VAT number, exempt from the ES obligation?
I can answer that. No, the companies which have direct VAT registration must file the yes declaration with all the transactions they reported during the year.
Okay, great. We also got another question. So in case you submit periodical returns throughout the year, do you need to submit yearly return as well?
Yeah, you do. This is kind of a recap of everything that was submitted. So you want to make sure that everything that was submitted previously fully matches with what you are submitting now with the annual VAT return.
Okay, great. Well, those are all the questions. I really hope that this practical session helped you in your preparation. As mentioned, we're going to share the recording and the slides afterwards. And if you have any additional questions, just reach out to me or our team. So thank you so much for joining us and have a great day. Thank you, ladies. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much.